Alright, so I'm going to show you how to get your name tag going. What I've got here is just a piece of cardstock, 8.5 by 11. First thing you're going to do is take this, fold it in half, hot dog style, lengthwise, whatever you want to call it. You want to make it so it is long and skinny. Now what I like to do to fold is match up the corners. Right now, that would not make for a really good fold because they're off. So get the corners on both sides lined up, and then just don't do a really thorough fold yet, just kind of do a slight fold, I'm not pressing down super hard. There we go. What I like to do to get a nice crisp fold once I've got a light one, I'm going to take this and take the edge of my table and just shoop, and I just ran that right along the corner. Now I've got a nice sharp edge. Okay. So I've got my little card here. I can sit this wherever I want. Now I need to put my name on it. So I do my first name and last name. My first name is Darcy, which is D-A-R-C-Y, 5 letters. My last name is Hancock, H-A-N-C-O-C-K, 7 letters. So what I'm actually going to probably do is do my first name and my middle name. That way you can see what to do if you have an even number of letters versus an odd number of letters. Alright, so let's do my first name first. Now, instead of just going on here and writing my name, big letters, big letters, big letters, a lot of you probably would want to start that way. Don't do that. You want to start off by planning out how much space you need to start with. So you're going to start with your first letter and your last letter, and then do your middle letter. That way you don't have all these big letters and have to cram the rest of it all into one little space. So, first thing I'm going to do is when I make my letters, I'm going to make these go from the top to the bottom. So I'm going to do my letter D. And I'm using pencil first here. I'm making these kind of long and skinny so I can fit them all. So there's my letter D. And then I'm going to do my letter Y. First letter, last letter. Alright. And now, instead of just going crazy here, I'm going to find out what the middle of this is. Now, if you had a ruler, this would be really easy. You could take your ruler, measure it, and find half of 11, which would, of course, be 5.5, and at the 5.5 inch mark would be where you put your middle letter. But if you don't have a ruler, what you can do is take your paper, and again, don't fold it all the way, just do just enough so you can see, there's my little corner. I know that that right there is the middle of my card. You can kind of unbend it, right? So I know my middle letter of my name is going to be an R. So I'm going to put an R that will go right through the middle. So imagine there's a middle line going through your letter. Now this is if you have an odd number of letters in your name. I'll show you how to do it in an even number in just a second. And that'll also be a much longer name too. Alright. So now it just looks like it says dry, because I don't have my other letters in here. So I've got first letter, last letter, middle letter. Alright? First, last, middle. Now it should be easy to just visually space out your next 2 letters. So I need an A. And again, this is why I'm using pencil. It's going to be a little bit messier if I tried to do some pen first. And then a C. And if you don't get it perfect the first time, that's just fine. You can go back in here and adjust these all you not want. Alright. There's my name. My name perfectly spaced across the whole thing. Make sure when you do this, your letters go all the way from the top to the bottom, and we're going to show you what to do with the spaces in between them next. Alright, let's talk about if you have a much longer name now. So, I'm going to do my middle name, which is Patricia. Now, I actually need to write that down because I'm not even sure what my middle letters would be. So, P-A-T-R-I-C-I-A. Okay? So, if I look at my name, Patricia, P-A-T-R-I-C-I-A, okay? I need to figure out what my middle 2 letters are. So if I take off Pat and I take off C-I-A, I got R-I. So what I need to do when I find that middle line is my middle line is going to have R to the left of it and I to the right of it. It'll make more sense when you see it. Alright, so same deal. Do my first letter and my last letter. Now this is a much longer name, so I'm going to make these letters really skinny. So P at the beginning, A at the end, Now I already bent my page going the other way, so this shouldn't be too hard to find the middle again. I can see my little crease right there. So, I know this is my middle line, and I know that my middle letters, like we just talked about, are R and I. So, on this side of my middle, so again, here's my middle line, this side I'm going to put one letter, this side I'm going to put one letter. So R, make sure there's a little bit of space in between them, and then I on this side. Okay, probably make my P a little bit wider. All right, just says Priya right now. Now I just need to fill in the rest of my letters. So P, A, T, R, I, and actually I'll move that I over a little bit. C, I, A. Okay. Alright, it's not great, but again, this is just our sketch stage. Now we're going to move on to our Sharpie. Okay? Actually, I'll do it on this side first. So here's where I'm going to take my Sharpie, make sure these letters are nice and thick and readable. So I want this, my whole goal with this name tag is for it to be readable. So I want to make sure that these letters are easy to read from a distance so that, well, so that I as your teacher could see it from the back of the classroom, but also just so we're starting to use some good sense of design here. I'm probably going to speed this video up here, so I'm just going to work as fast as I can. Alright, so what you're seeing me do here now, that I'm in fast forward mode as I'm doing each of my letters, I'm trying to make them an even thickness as I go, but as I finish it up, I'll probably come back several times. You'll see me keep going back to the same letters over and over to try to keep them all the same thickness. Now, keep in mind when you're doing this, you're going to definitely, it depends on your style of writing. You might want to go thicker with your letters than what you're seeing me doing, or you might want to go thinner. I would caution against going overly thin on this though, because by the time we're adding our patterns and things like that between the letters, you want to make sure you can still read them. Okay, so what you're seeing me do now is I'm flipping it around, I'm getting back and going in there, thickening up those letters. And there you saw me pointing out I had a real obvious couple letters there that needed to have a few more strokes added into them. Alright, so in a second here you'll see me grab out some colored pencils, and what I'm going to do with those colored pencils is I have decided on a warm color palette for between my letters on the left side and just kind of work my way across the rainbow as I go. Now, it's totally up to you. You don't even have to use color necessarily, but what you want to do is have distinctly different patterns between the letters versus the insides of the letters. You don't want to have the same pattern behind everything, and you don't want to have the insides of the letters looking like the same as the outsides of the letters. So entirely up to you. You could use ballpoint pen, you could use pencil, I'm using colored pencil, you could use colored pens, but at the end of the day, the goal is for you to be able to easily read these name tags, and as long as I'm able to easily read it, that's really what matters here. Okay, so again, up to you how you want to decorate this. Some people have done full out drawings, some people just done patterns. Up to you how you want to do it.